Good morning, friends. Today in this lecture of mine, we'll be talking about the journey of FDI, which is foreign direct investment in India, like how it started, why it came to India, why it was introduced on a wide scale in India. So let's start. There's a list of contents. Just to give you an idea like in what sequence we'll be covering the topic. So let's start with the introduction part. Let's talk about the crisis, the economic crisis. So if we talk about this Indian economic crisis, the main reason was initiated in the year 1985, and it was initiated because of the balance of payment problems that arise in India because imports were quite higher than the exports, and that gave rise to a situation of the problem of twin deficits in India. And there was this large fiscal deficit that became one of the reasons of this situation, the crisis. So by the end of 1990, in the run-up to the Gulf War, the situation was so serious, it actually went out of the control of the Indian economy or the political party ruling that time, because the Indian foreign exchange reserves were too less that it could barely finance even the 3 weeks of imports. And by July the low reserves had to lead, actually they led to such sharp devaluation of the rupee, which in turn gave to rise further in the problem. This resulted in a lifting of the national gold reserves as a pledge to the International Monetary Fund, which is IMF, in exchange for a loan to cover this balance of payment debt. And this crisis later led to the liberalization of the Indian economy. How that happened? Let's see. There you can see an arrow that's showing the path that how this economy or the Indian economy reached the level of the liberalization. So the process initiated with the balance of payment imbalance, where we can see that it has been shown that the imports were higher than exports. That gave rise to the trade deficit and the fiscal deficit, like the twin deficit that we talked about in the earlier slide. That resulted in the low foreign exchange reserves. Further, devaluation of rupee and the mortgaging of gold reserve to bail out of this situation, and that resulted in economic crisis, where somewhere we have to lead to the way of liberalization, or today what we call it as LPG, which is liberalization, privatization and globalization. So this was the pictorial representation of this entire scenario. Now we'll talk about the main reasons behind this crisis, that why that happened. So we can see the first resultant part was the currency devaluation. Another reason was current account deficit, as a result of which investors' attitude wasn't good in the economy, for the economy, and resultantly there was a sharp depreciation in the exchange rate. So all these factors in a combined way gave birth to the problem of economic crisis. Further, the consequences of these economic crisis. So the first point, as we can see, is the India's foreign exchange reserve was at $1.2 billion in January 1991, which was depleted further to the half of its amount by June of the same year. Then we had to take this emergency loan of $2.2 billion from the International Monetary Fund, in exchange of which we had to pledge 67 tons of Indian gold reserves as a collateral security. Further, the Reserve Bank of India, RBI, had to allot 47 tons of gold to the Bank of England and 20 tons of gold to the Union Bank of Switzerland to raise $600 million. As a result of which, there was this huge public outcry, because this news was all over spread and people were in panic that how we'll be able to come out of this situation. The one good thing, as we can say, that resulted out of this was liberalization, and as a result of which FDI, or what we know as foreign direct investment, was introduced in India. That time there was Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao's government in India, and they introduced several reforms, and they can be collectively known as liberalization. As we discussed already, the reasons why we had to liberalize our economy, and so this is how the doors were widely open to foreign investment. Resultantly, there was this good positive news in the market and foreign reserves started picking up. And as a part of this foreign investment, foreign direct investment, which is FDI, was accepted on a very wide scale, and several crucial sectors were open to this FDI. Now let's put a glance over this time period, like from 1995 to 2018. We can say that foreign direct investment in India increased by $3,971 million. I shall repeat this again. It's $3,971 million in May of 2018. This FDI was averaged to $1,318.29 million from 1995. So you can see the difference now. So this is just to compare that there has been an increase, and there has been a very good increase in this FDI from 1995 to 2018, and this reached an all-time high to $8,579 million in August 2017, whereas the record low was minus $1,336. Sorry, I guess I will repeat it again because there is a mismatch, so I shall repeat it again. The record low was $1,336 million in November 2017. So you can see there was a peak in the August 2007, whereas there was this record low in November 2017. But on an average, this is being going high on a positive note, on a positive scale, and towards a positive direction. Pictorial representation of the same. You see, it has been shown that in October 2017, this shows this record low of minus $1,336 million US dollars, whereas peak was in July 2017, which is 8,517 US dollars, 8,517 million US dollars. So this bar graph shows a mixed trend, where in some of the part of the month there was a low FDI inflow in India, whereas on the other parts of there was an increase, there was a positive flow. And several reasons like political, economic, and several other reasons to give rise to such mixed trend, but overall this shows a positive trend. That's a good sign for our economy. As we can see, the top countries that are investing in India, currently it's US, and then followed by Canada, further by Germany, then it's UK, then China, Japan, and France. You can see there has been a comparison between 2017 and 2018 year too. So currently, if I say that the 5 top countries that are investing in India are US, that is United States of America, Canada, Germany, United Kingdom, and China. There is a pie chart showing the sectors that are attracting highest FDI equity inflows in India. So it's clearly can be seen that the service sector is attracting the highest percentage of FDI in India, followed by the infrastructure sector, and then there is a tie between the two sectors, which is computer software and hardware and telecommunications. So you can see this pie chart has been showing that how the FDI is being divided among the different sectors. Here I would like to add one more thing, that service sector is attracting the maximum FDI, followed by infrastructure, and then of course there was this tie between the two sectors, which is computer software and hardware and telecommunication. Further, this is automobile industry, followed by 4 major industries, that is power, chemical industry, trading, drugs and pharmaceuticals, and then there is metallurgical industries. So this all combined gives us an idea of how this FDI is being divided among the different sectors, and which sector attracts the maximum FDI for now currently. Here India's rank has been shown among the top 10 investment destinations in the world. We can see that India has moved ahead, and it is now on the 5th platform, or the 5th position among the top 10 destination countries, those who are investing FDI. This shows a positive trend and an optimistic outlook. We can conclude by comparing both the aspects of FDI in India. The first part is the advantages of FDI in India. The few points are listed below. The first says that it gives rise to the level of investment. It results in the upgradation of the existing technology. This way it's a benefit to consumer because they get huge variety in reasonable prices. Of course, good quality product because there is a lot more of competition, so they go through several tests and then only they reach the ultimate consumer. And of course, resultantly, revenue to government because of more selling and more taxes, more revenue and more earning. Covering the disadvantages part, first point says that it gives rise to inflation, that is rise in prices, general price level. It might create to unemployment because other foreign countries will be investing in India, so maybe the local business people might get heard of this, and they can lose employment because There will be more of capital based or capital intensive technology, so that might not be very favorable to a country where we mainly depend upon the labor intensive technology. This might upset the balance of payment because of the difference between the imports and the export level. And as I discussed already, that retailers face loss in business because the foreign business companies coming in India, attracting more of consumers towards them for their quality and prices and technology. So we can see that both the parts are being involved in this in the form of advantages and disadvantages, but we can say that we are heavier, the FDI aspect is heavier more towards the advantages part. So friends, these are the sources. I have taken the reference of my own thesis in this, so that's why I've mentioned here. Thank you very much for watching this, and if you want to watch even more videos based on the several topics covering economics, several topics of economics and econometrics, you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a good day.